And we're back. I shake the excess water off the umbrella and head inside with them, following Emmy to a vacant table in the furthest corner of the small cafe. The place is almost full. Apparently other people had the same idea as Emmy, and now we're all stranded together here in this cozy little place. Varnished wooden pillars and paper screens mix with Parisian-style tables and chairs in discordant harmony, a contrast of old and new. Light jazz plays quietly in the background, though it's mostly drowned out by the murmur of the customers. There's only one waitress serving the full house, frantically gliding from one table to another and trying to keep up with everything. To my surprise, I think I recognize her. Watch her deliver a tray of teacups and pastries to another table taken by Yamaku students, then take an order from a middle-aged couple sitting across from us before finally turning to serve us. Yuko. Now that she's close and facing me, I see that really is her, the part-time librarian in Yamaku in full waitress attire. It's a pretty cute outfit, and she has tied her hair up in buns to match. It's a completely different image from her mousy, plain style at her other job. Yuko blinks a few times, looking confused, then remembers that she was about to say something. Welcome to the Shanghai. So you work here too? I thought you were a university student or something. Yes, that too. It's a part-time job, as you can see. It's Sunday, so there aren't any lectures. Good thing, too, since today has been so busy, I'm wishing for another pair of hands. Anyway, I'm in a bit of a rush, as you can see. What can I get you today? Emmy doesn't hesitate even for a second. Her eyes glitter like those of a kid in a candy store. Tea for everyone and cake for me. Yuko tries to say as formal and professional looking as possible, smiling cheerily at my ravenous companion. Yes, today we have a choice of strawberry shortcake, raspberry layer cake, or lemon meringue pie. Strawberry, no, lemon. No, actually I'll take both. Oh. She looks at me in challenge. I'll just take the pie. Nothing. Emmy makes a face at Rin as though she had bitten into a lemon. She's clearly unhappy with her for not joining in. Oh, come on, Rin, that's not polite at all. Nothing, thank you. No, you silly. I meant that you should order something, too. I'll take a straw then. My feet are all wet. Sorry? Yeah, what? The drinking kind of straw. One, please. Yuko's obviously uncertain of what to think of this. She fiddles with her pen and stationery for a moment, looking like she's about to cry before deciding that we've finished ordering. Thank you very much. She bows down a little bit too deeply and scampers to safety behind the counter. After that ordeal is over with, I have a chance to relax a bit and take a better look at the surroundings. Almost every table is occupied by people happy to be out of the rain, thankfully sipping their tea while waiting to dry off. Fragments of grumbling about the lazy weather or discussions over recent homework carry from nearby tables to my ears. Each one overlaps the other, but all are covered by the sound of falling rain. After a while, Yuko returns to our table, carrying a tray with a huge teapot, 3 cups, a slice of cake, and 2 slices of pie. She slaps the tray onto our tiny table with a clatter, almost sending the teapot toppling over into Rin's lap. We barely recover before she bows again and leaves, hurrying off to serve the other customers. Emmy has been eyeing her strawberry cake very hungrily all this time, but somehow she managed to contain herself until Yuko is out of sight. She digs in with gusto while I content myself with pouring tea for everyone and placing the straw in Rin's cup. Rin looks at the way the tea swirls around and round in her white china cup, her eyes half closed, almost like she's being hypnotized. I pick up my fork and eye the food in front of me. The pie looks perfectly done, a thick layer of meringue atop creamy lemon custard. After having the first bite, I pause, savoring the combination of tangy citrus and smooth, sugary meringue. I have no idea what meringue is. It's quite good, though a bit too sweet for me. If very good. She's talking through a mouthful of cake, already halfway through her slice, even though it's not exactly small. I want to taste some of that. Before I get to respond, she strikes out of my delicious pie, taking a piece with her fork and escapes with it. This is pretty good too. What are you doing? You have a slice of your own. Yeah, but if I started on that before finishing the cake, it'd be rude, don't you think? What? What? Her insolence is outrageous, but the gentleman in me allows for no retaliation. I glare angrily at her, and she replies by sticking out her tongue impishly. Emmy is even more hyper than usual today, but I don't mind. It's good for her to let off some steam. Take another sip of the tea in my cup. It's good and hot, even though I don't usually care much for tea, and the atmosphere in the cafe is very relaxing. I don't mind spending the rest of the afternoon here, not even after Emmy orders her second piece of strawberry cake and Rin spends most of the time staring fixedly at the rain streaming down from the heavens. Even Yuko rolls her eyes at the third piece of cake disappearing into Emmy's bottomless stomach just as quickly as the previous two. Despite the passing of time, it's still raining outside when we exit the Shanghai, though it seems to be letting up a little. Too bad it had to rain on your parade. Weren't we supposed to have a picnic? Emmy doesn't look too distraught over this turn of events. No, it's fine. We had a good time, didn't we? I feel really pumped up. It isn't even raining that hard anymore. I kind of want to hike back to school to get rid of this energy and work off some of the cake. She stretches her arms out and arches her back like a cat. After rolling her shoulders around twice, she smiles brightly. Man, I can't really run with these legs, though, especially uphill. I wish I'd brought my other ones. This notion sounds odd, spoken so casually, but I guess for Emmy, changing legs is sort of like someone else changing shoes. Maybe if I walk really fast, that'll be kind of like running. I think I'll do that. I won't be able to keep up with that going uphill, though. I really am in bad shape, plus you'll get wet without an umbrella. It's hardly even a drizzle now. A few drops won't hurt. I think I'm going to go to the track after I change my legs, too. You're going to go running in the rain? That sounds like a terrible idea. Especially in, like, prosthetic legs. Emmy skips away from the protection of my umbrella and goes on ahead at a brisk pace. Suddenly she seems to remember something as she stops and spins around. See you tomorrow. Come eat lunch with us on the roof. I'll bring enough for 3. Rin and I are left to watch her wave at us and skip off again. Soon she disappears around a street corner. I'll never understand why Emmy is perpetually in such a hurry to get somewhere. So, would you like me to walk you back to school so that at least one of you won't get wet? If you are happy with it. Seems neither of us wants to keep alive the strained atmosphere from the argument a few days ago in the art room, which makes me feel relieved. I don't want to bear grudges, and I'm happy that Rin feels the same way. Thus it is decided that we are content with each other's company for now, and we start walking in the same direction as Emmy, albeit at a considerably calmer pace. I get a bit closer to Rin, even though the umbrella is already big enough to shelter us both. I can feel her nearby warmth providing a contrast to the chill of this rainy weather. Raindrops hitting the umbrella make a distinctive sound, playing the staccato melody of rainfall for nobody in particular. I realize I haven't been outside in the rain for what feels like forever. I inhale, taking in the scent of rain, feeling the weather with all my senses. The world melts into a blur inside the rain. Color of the sky have deepened from gray to dark blue, with hues of red added to the mix from the sunlight reflecting off the clouds. The low-hanging sky looks pretty, as if I could reach out my hand and touch it. And I told you how much I like rain. It's like painting. It makes me feel connected. Almost echoing my thoughts, Rin lets out one of her own. It slips out of her mouth, circling around us gently. Everything looks so soft, like the outlines of things just disappear. I like that. It's like the rain is hugging me. Her voice sounds different from usual, more gentle now and soft. I wonder if it's only because of the rain or because of the mood the rain brought up upon the quiet artist girl. I feel that mood myself, too, enhanced by her words. Yeah, I like rainy weather, too. It's nice every once in a while. I wonder what it is about the rain. It never rains where I am. Everything. Silence follows the statement as it allows for no continuation. I decided to push the direction of the conversation a little. But you know, if you like the feeling of being connected, what's the problem with showing your paintings to others? Don't you want to be connected to other people? It's not the same thing. You're comparing apples and squids. I don't think that's the saying, but okay. I brought up this subject Rena wants to avoid and shuts her down again. This question stays hanging between us for the rest of the trip back to school, and I can't help wondering what on earth I could have said to truly reach Rin. Does she feel that she's lacking an identity? She has a strong personality, but if pressed to elaborate, I'm not sure I could describe it accurately. She feels like a person who is in constant conflict with herself. I never know what to expect when I talk to her. Wonder how she herself experiences that disconnect. If Rin is asking herself every day, who am I, and obsessively paints images to define herself day after day, what does she think of that way of living? The irony is, that's the exact same question I've been asking myself for the past 4 or 5 months. For me, it was miserable. I can only assume that it's the natural state of being for this girl. When we stop in front of the dormitories, Rin turns to face me, as if sensing my thoughts from afar. Her gaze travels emptily past my left shoulder into the shapeless rainfall. Her dark eyes seem to suck the low ambient light into themselves like a reverse mirror. That empty gaze lets nothing out. If I want to understand what's going on behind those eyes, I have to work it out myself. Rin opens her mouth and closes it without saying anything. The silence lasts for a few more moments before she takes a step towards the dorm building door. See you tomorrow. The next morning, like every second Monday morning, until he says otherwise, I have an appointment with the nurse. They allow me to skip part of my first class in the morning. I don't feel any shame in skipping the rest either. Rather than being thankful I get to miss world history, I instead feel dread when I think about these appointments. I wake up at the normal time anyway and wash myself in the bathroom I share with Kenji, tidying my disheveled hair. Quickly get dressed and put my laundry in the basket. Pack up for the school day. I have all my homework done like usual, so I have a bit of free time now. There's no point in going to the morning class for 20 minutes before I'd have to get to the nurse's office, so I lie down on my bed and read a book until it's time to go. The door to the nurse's office is open, which is unusual. I enter while knocking to announce my arrival. Looking up from his computer screen, he motions me to take a seat with a friendly hello. Steam wafts up from the piping hot cup of coffee on his desk. It's probably not his first day. Oh, his first 2 day. How are you feeling on this wonderful morning, Zhao? I'm alright, I think. It was cold yesterday because of the rain, so I woke up feeling a bit groggy. You too, huh? Quite a few kids got caught without an umbrella, so we've been spending time handing out masks and curing sniffles. Alright, today it's test day. Give me your arm. I extend my left arm towards him, keeping my face expressionless. The nurse ties a rubber tourniquet around my bicep with a practiced movement and briskly goes about his business. I don't think anyone really likes getting stuck with needles, but at least I got over my distaste for them. I had to. Now I barely even twitched at the moment of truth. Once that's done, a blood pressure check follows. Then there are checklists and questionnaires to go through. The nurse nods and scribbles in my answers to the questions as I give them. Alright, let's have a listen now. I unbutton my shirt and put it neatly on the back of the chair I was using while he puts on his stethoscope. I know by heart the order of places where he's going to listen to my lungs and heartbeat. I adjust my breathing to be even and deep without being asked. It's become routine now for both of us. It's funny, this is pretty much the only time in one's life when you really concentrate on breathing and nothing else, and it's always amused me. The nurse lifts the cold steel stethoscope from my chest and places it a few inches lower, listening again. The contact of the metal makes me flinch on reflex, even though I was expecting it. He furrows his brow, but I can't tell if it's because he's unhappy or if he's trying to pick something specific out amongst the complex magnitude of irregularities in my heartbeat. Is there something wrong? Please don't talk. I shut up and become more anxious. The nurse is nice, but I can't help disliking these mandatory checkups. I wonder if I'm going to end up hating all medical appointments from now on because of these. He finally lifts the circular metal plate from my chest, allowing me to talk again. Everything seems to be fine. Are you feeling alright yourself? I suppose. I was out yesterday when it was raining, and yeah, I felt a bit under the weather in the morning. Maybe I caught a cold. Were you with Emmy? She came down with a cold too. My people told her to stay in bed for a day or two. Really, I mean, I was with her, but I didn't know she got sick. Well, she did go running afterwards with no umbrella. Guess it was a dumb thing after all for her to go in the rain like that. Yeah, well, let's put that aside. Everything seems to check out for you, but remember to be careful. Of course, I really don't want to go back to the hospital. He catches something, maybe repressed terror, I don't know, in my voice, and glances up for some papers he was looking at. Hey, don't worry, at this stage it would take a huge crash in your condition to get you re-hospitalized. Doesn't really reassure me, but grumbling about it to him won't make any difference. I quietly take my leave. Walking along the corridor from the auxiliary building to the main school building, I encounter a young female nurse coming the other way. She smiles at me when we pass by each other. Lobby is empty of people, no surprise since classes are still going on. I hear muffled sounds of discussion coming from behind the first floor classroom doors. I glance at my watch. I'd have to rush to get to my classroom in time. I don't feel like going to class anyway. I decide to climb up to the roof and have an extra long lunch break. Amy promised she'd bring something for me today, but if she's sick, that's probably not going to happen. I'm not feeling hungry anyway, so it's all the same. I climb up the steep stairwell to the roof. The climb up the steep stairwell to the roof is oddly liberating. almost like losing weight. I feel satisfaction that doesn't whine me as badly as it did the first time I came up here. I push open the squeaky door at the top and step into sunlight. Chain-link fence allows for a grand view over the treetops all the way to the gray silhouettes of downtown further away. God, it would be really wet up there, wouldn't it? The dreary weather of yesterday is just a memory now. The silver blue sky seems to be a mere arm's reach away. I forget for a moment that I'm in a bad mood. The warmth of the sun soaks into my bones, making me drowsy and lazy instead. The bell rings for lunch break, startling me back into reality. Soon afterwards, the quad below me bursts into life. Students pour out of the doors onto the ground floor, intent on enjoying lunch at the quad in the lush gardens in this perfect weather. When I hear the door to the stairwell being pushed open, I don't bother turning to see who it is. The intruder starts coming towards me with uneven footsteps. The little river stones the roof is covered with rattle and crunch underfoot. Footsteps stop a few feet behind me, followed by silence. I look upwards into the glowing eye of the sun, absorbing its warmth with my whole body. What are you doing? I turn around out of courtesy at her first words to behold the slim, awkward figure of Rin Tezuka. She looks very much like herself today, too. Her hair is maybe a tad messier than usual, but as if she just got out of bed. She stands with her weight shifted onto one foot, looking at me with mild curiosity, as if I were something in a store's display window. I don't know, just spacing out, I guess. What about you? Emmy promised food. We usually eat here. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. I heard Emmy came down with a cold. Oh, I guess that makes sense. She wasn't in class. It's not that common to get a cold in June, though. You don't think she went running at the track afterwards like she said? The rain just kept going. Probably. In the rain. In the rain. Sounds like a bit too much for just keeping up with the training regime. Emmy is a hard-headed one, though, so I can see her running in the downpour just because she had to. Well, that's obviously overdoing it. Probably why she came down with that cold, too. I guess it's kind of cool. Speaking of that, I'm not feeling well either. Oops. Achoo. Rin sneezes pretty hard. Failing to stop it in time, she cranes her head down to wipe her nose on her shoulder. So deciding that would be too unladylike, I pull out my handkerchief and hold it to her nose. Here, bless you. Thanks. She clears her nose and I dab the handkerchief gently on it, wiping it clean. Her nose is really cute. Okay, that's okay. Oddly enough, it's probably the girliest part of Rin's face. I think I'm blushing a little bit. Rin doesn't know. Yeah, blushing because of her nose. Okay. Thanks. I think maybe I might be coming up or down with something too, like I was saying. Hope not. Rin doesn't seem to be too bothered about eating, so despite the lack of Emmy-provided lunch, we stay up on the rooftop. She comes over and stands next to me, right up against the fence, looking into the same abstract distance as I am. Nobody else seems to be coming around to intrude upon this calmness either. It's quiet and peaceful. What does one do in a lunch break if not eat? Turns out that between the two of us, we don't really know. Fortunately, passing time is an activity that manages itself just fine. Even though there's no conversation to fill the silence between the passing seconds, the no pointless activities like cloud gazing to spend upon the minutes Oh, let me restart this. Even though there's no conversation to fill the silence between the passing seconds, no pointless activities like cloud gazing to spend upon the minutes between now and then, time marches on relentlessly. I messed up bad on that whole sentence, I'm pretty sure. That paragraph. I keep checking the time on my watch and decide it's a dumb thing to do. Instead, I try to hold out for as long as possible before I check it again. Maybe I can hold out for 6 or 7 minutes. Rin remains silent, idly looking up at the cerulean expanse above us. Wonder why, more often than not, we don't speak much. She said she doesn't like speaking because of her perceived difficulties with expressing herself properly. As for me, I think I just got sucked into the habit at the hospital where I spent such a long stretch of time never really talking to anyone. Most of the time I feel comfortable about this quiet mood, and even when I get the feeling that I have to break the silence, it's always so difficult to come up with something to talk about when it's with Rin. She and I are in such different wavelengths that nothing seems to be on common ground. What is it that you like about the sky so much? She turns to me, her eyes dark and serious. Sky is the only thing that is perfect. I know it. You could say I'm an expert of sky if you wanted, and I am, even if you didn't want to, a sky expert. It's always different, but it's always perfect, also when it's different. I follow her gaze up into the boundless blue expanse, thinking of her words. Have you ever wanted to be something different? It wouldn't be so bad to be the sky. No, I mean someone else, someone different. To go to a normal school like everyone else, not have to worry about stuff. Want stuff. I try to find the right words for the moment, but I can't manage to form a sentence that I'd be comfortable with actually using. Man, I don't really want to say it aloud. Try, I'm not so good at mind reading. Don't you ever want to not be disabled? What? Why would you even ask this? She thinks about this and then shakes her head, frowning. That's a hard question. I don't know what to say. It's okay if you don't say anything. For some reason, I'm just so unsatisfied with who I am right now that I'm constantly thinking stuff like that. It's pretty hard to admit, but there it is. Honestly, I feel relieved about finally saying it aloud to someone, even if it's just Rin. I think I want to be different sometimes. I thought about changing myself lately, but it's a bit scary, like walking backwards with your eyes closed. The difficult part is to know where your toes are not pointing at, directions. Even if I don't do anything, I would never stay the same. It's like my old paintings. They are different than what I paint now because I'm different, but they are still my paintings, so there's something the same. That's really strange. I'm different every day, but I'm still me every day. Who am I then? Is that a riddle? If you want it to be. I don't know the right answer though, so you have to come up with it yourself. Well, it's the sky, isn't it? Going by your definition just now. I actually managed to surprise her by that. Maybe she had already forgotten about it. That's right, but I was thinking about myself when I said that. Very strange. Could it be that I actually am the sky? I don't think that's possible. Your logic's a bit off somewhere. She looks down and shuts up, and I can see she's quickly going over the deduction mentally, seemingly unhappy with the result she's finally arrived at. Yeah, maybe I'm not the sky. Would make sense. I have a hard time knowing what kind of person I am. You're not the only one. It's like my mind is in some other place than the rest of me. Underwater? Yeah, I wonder how I got there. I have no answer, so a brief silence falls between us for a moment. I shift my gaze back to the sky above us. Last time I really paid much attention to the sky was, I guess it must have been at the hospital. I could only see a thin strip of sky from the window of my room. If I walked up to the windows and pressed my face against the cold glass, the strip became bigger, but not by much. The sky made me feel sad and lonely, a reminder of the world on the other side. I wonder if there's another world beyond the sky we see from up here on the school's roof as well. Can't stop comparing life at Yamaku to my hospitalization, but I really should. I'm not there anymore. The narrow sky from the window of my hospital room, the faces of the doctors, the faces of my parents, the off-white walls everywhere, Nako's letter, echoing the words she never said. There's things of the past now. I wish I could forget everything up until now, and that time would stop completely. There would be only me, Rin, in the sky, an eternal lunch break on this rooftop, perfect, unchanging, and forever. I'm not sure if I like or hate this school. I could have gone to a normal school if I wanted, but I chose to come here. Why? I just decided I would. Kind of like melon or plum jelly. What? Do you think it was a good idea? What? Okay, sure. Do you think it was a good idea? I mean, there are a lot of good things about this school, but I think there are a few bad things also. I know. I kind of collect people because they're interesting. People here really are amazing, most of them, but not all. Some people can't take it. They hurt too much. It gets really bad sometimes, you know? They hurt. Wonder if you're like that too. I hope not. I don't like things like that. Hey, I'm not your case study, and I'm not going to give up and die or anything. Anyway, I meant more that this place is too distant from the real world. What's the real world? Everything out there, real people with normal everyday lives that fit together like a puzzle. You don't think we aren't like that, real people? Maybe we aren't. Well, no, we are. I just meant that it feels more like we're the leftover pieces. Rin thinks for a while, her almond-shaped eyes narrowing as she bites her lip a little bit like a child. Is it hard to be disabled? Her question earns a dry chuckle from me. You tell me, you've been in this business a lot longer than I have. She thinks about that for another while. I don't really feel that disabled. I mean, I do pretty much everything differently, but it's not that hard. I can always practice. I started to practice food things this year. I think I'd want to learn to cook in a real kitchen someday. That's admirable, but I don't think it's just a state of mind. Maybe not to you. I have no good counter to that, so I concede by following silent. The situation is making me more and more confused. I know what I want, but don't know how to reach it. Rin seems to believe she can simply will herself into the shape she thinks she needs to be, but can't decide whether she wants to be a bird or a butterfly. I think in the end I'm not really that happy with who I am either, but that doesn't mean I regret who I am. That's the thing that's wrong with you, Hizo. I've only started to process that rather blunt statement before Rin suddenly hugs you. What are you doing? Never been hugged by a girl with no arms before. To be honest, it doesn't really physically feel like a hug. The awkward way she presses her body against mine and the lack of embracing arms make it feel like she fell on top of me. But the warmth of a real hug is still there, and that's how I recognize it for what it is. I'm hugging you, Hizo. I know that, but is it wrong? I thought this is what you're supposed to do. I'm not really used to this kind of thing. The first time Emmy hugged me, I got surprised and kicked her in the stomach. I can kick pretty hard, so she hasn't been hugging me an awful lot after that. It's not wrong, no, it's just me. Things are a bit hard for me for the time being. I can't seem to react properly to anything. Really? So is it hard being disabled after all? Guess she has me cornered there. I don't have the energy to start arguing against it, but I feel like I have to get something out. Well, no, it's not hard. I think it's just me overthinking things. I really wish I didn't feel sorry for myself all this time. Wonder if I always was this fragile before I became this way after my incident. Nothing had ever truly shaken my world like that before, so there's no telling. Rin presses her cheek against me tightly. I can feel the warmth of her body close against me. Her body temperature feels really high, as if she had absorbed the sunlight into herself and is now sharing it with me, or perhaps it's a natural state for her. It's the most comforting thing I've felt in a long, long time. Wow, your heartbeat really does sound really weird. It's like a drunken percussion orchestra. Please don't say stuff like that. I get very uncomfortable. I'll offer to comment anyway in an attempt to ease the tension. It sounds a little bit too forced. Man, I'm sorry I'm such a mess. It's okay. It's the best part of you. Hearing that doesn't make me happy. She breaks off the hug and settles down. An awkward silence falls upon us like a blanket, me feeling embarrassed about myself and Rin trying to arrange her expression as something she likes. One last time I glance upwards. This rooftop is really great. It's like I'm just a little bit closer to the sky. I know a better place, but we can't go there on lunch break. I can take you there sometime if you want. The bell rings for the beginning of the afternoon classes, and Rin stands up to make her way downstairs. I don't hurry after her, deciding to stay up here for just a little while longer. Thanks for the hug. Thanks for not kicking me. After Rin leaves, I finally let tears roll down my cheek and cry for my condition for the first and only time in my life. Then I cast away that hollow person lying on the hospital bed forever. I like these little transitions because they give me time to drink. 2 days later, I'm feeling less miserable. I even go for a long, brisk, healthy walk like the nurse recommended, something which I had avoided and dodged with all sorts of excuses earlier. I feel more active in class as well, delighting our science homeroom teacher, Mr. Muto, with correct and promptly delivered answers. Break right now between the 2 morning classes is too short for any sort of meaningful activity, but too long to just spend it sitting in the classroom and doing nothing. Going out into the hallway isn't much better, but flexing my stiffened muscles is a better use of time than letting them get even stiffer by staying seated. The door of the neighboring classroom door opens, and the students of 3-4 emerge to further fill up the already semi-crowded hallway. It seems their teacher kept them in for a few extra minutes. Emmy is among them. She notices me noticing her, which almost makes her look away on reflex. I don't, however, and Emmy smiles at me as she happily skips towards me past the other students. Emmy looks pretty energetic, doesn't she always? Showing no signs of... oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot she was sick. Showing no signs of illness whatsoever, it seems she recovered from the cold. Hey, good morning. Nice to see you back on your feet. Yeah, on your feet. You feeling better now? She looks fine to me, but I still feel compelled to ask. Thanks, and yeah, I do. It's just a cold, nothing serious. Emmy laughs confidently as if to emphasize her condition. Wonder for a moment what would count as serious in Emmy's book. I cannot read. She seems to be eager to put the topic aside, though. Where are you going? Off to Rin's room to see if she's awake yet. Oh, she skipped the morning class? A sheepish smile emerges on Emmy's face and she gets slightly flustered. Not exactly. It seems she caught the cold that I had. Sorry to hear that. Well, she was out in the rain on Sunday with us after all. I saw her on Monday and she was feeling a bit under the weather back then, too. Yeah, anyway, I'll ask the nurse for some cold medicine to give her if she doesn't get better soon. She leaves for the girls' dorm. I want to go with her to wish her in well. I want to tell her that I'm better now, too, but it doesn't feel appropriate. An unspecified feeling diverts my thoughts away. Somehow I just can't summon the resolve to go in there. Is this what Iwanako went through when she tried to tell me what she felt? Oh, that was short. That was really short. That was like one scene. Even though I'm feeling more energetic, I'm still hesitant about going over there to talk to Rin. It's not until 2 days later on Friday that I finally gather enough courage to enter the girl's dorm. I ask the first person I meet inside for directions to Rin's room. I knock on Rin's unmarked door and wait. After a few seconds of silence, I hear something rustling inside the room. I start wondering if maybe I should have brought something for her, like a can of warm coffee or some oranges. A can of warm coffee. A can of coffee, okay. Or some oranges. I could have peeled them for her. Well, too late now. The door opens soundlessly. It was already unlocked, and I find myself staring at Rin, who stares back at me. She looks like she just got out of bed with her hair all messed up. Her hair is always messed up. And barely any clothes on. Hello. There's a strange, stupid-looking smile on Rin's face. I'm not exactly sure why. Rin smiles so rarely that it seems to be out of place every time, especially so now, given her partially undressed state. Said state makes me feel extremely conflicted about whether or not this was a good idea. Her cheeks are flushed rose-red, contrasting with the milky pale complexion of a person who doesn't get enough sunlight. Her forehead looks sweaty, as though she might have a fever. Hi. Now what? I didn't plan anything further than this, and Rin is staring at me with those expectant eyes of hers again. Something about this situation gives me a very strange vibes. Her eyes are even more vacant than usual, and she seems to have a hard time focusing them on anything. Lack of clothing is disturbing, but since she herself doesn't seem to be bothered, why should I be? I keep telling myself that. I thought I'd pay you a visit since you haven't been at the art club, and I wanted to talk to you and wish you well. Rin doesn't show any sign of recognizing what I just said, making me wonder if she actually understood my words, or if she even heard them. Maybe it's the fever making her groggy. She might have actually been asleep before I came over. Okay. She turns on her heels and withdraws from the door, walking back inside the small room. From the doorway I can see her walk to her bed and half fall down, half sit down on the messy pile of bedsheets. The open doorway seems to be more of an obstacle in my mind than the closed door was, but since Rin doesn't say anything else, I step through it and into her room. Rin is on her bed leaning against the wall, leaving only the chair in the room for me. She keeps quiet even after I sit down, so maybe she meant to invite me in but just forgot to say so aloud, an implied invitation, as it were. Very exciting, no one has visited me before. Breaking the silence draws my attention from the room to its inhabitant, who currently seems to be in the middle of a very profound thought process. Actually, that was not true about visiting, but Emmy doesn't count even if she visits. She always pampers me too much. I think she's having too much fun. I think I've forgotten how to put a bra on by myself. She looks groggily down at her chest, which is probably why I don't have one on now that I think about it. I haven't failed to notice that Rin doesn't have her shirt buttoned up either, but I try to keep my eyes strictly locked on hers. It's rather evident that she's not a very body-conscious person. My own body, however, is quite conscious of hers right now. She came to wake me up at 7:30 today. Can you imagine that? She pauses for a while and glances up at my dumbfounded face. On second thought, you probably can. It's not like that reverse rainbow fish I tried to imagine earlier. That was hard. Well, yes, it seems like a pretty normal time to wake up if you want to go to class in the morning. I'm trying to sound as reasonable as possible to counteract Rin's unreasonable annoyance. I told her to sod off. She gave me these meds and told me to take them. I follow her eyes to the night table and then to the pill bottle sitting on top of it. Pick it up and turn it around to look at the label so I can see what kind of medication Emmy brought. Active ingredient, codeine? I don't know what that is. You took all these? No, yes, I've been eating some since there's so many of them. Seem to make this thing not so bad. Actually, yeah, I think I'm feeling just fine. Her head lolls round and round, making it look like she's either trying to stretch her neck muscles or possibly pass out. She took several of these pills? Can that be safe? At least it's bound to have some side effects, which I'm afraid I'm witnessing right now. I'm feeling just fine, I am fine. Just someone take this buzzing away from my head, I can't think straight. You can't think straight anyway, girl. The annoyed expression returns to Rin's face. It's like many of those insect things, or one really big insect thing. With lots of wings, very much color and everything. What's the word for those? Oh, never mind, I remember it. It's butterflies. She smiles lightly at our last observation. A small pause in her monologue is not long enough for me to dare say something that could potentially, but not likely, salvage this discussion. I love butterflies. They are the best animal. Not dogs are the best animal. Did you see any on your way here? Zhao? Shadows my name as an afterthought, possibly to make clear that she is now addressing me instead of just speaking her mind to whoever might be listening. This odd situation has left me speechless more or less since the moment Rin first opened her mouth. Now that she herself doesn't seem to have anything else to add, silence fills the small room. Makes me glance around again and attempt to find something to talk about. Rin's room is about as small as mine. The big window, which takes up most of the wall furthest from the door, opens to the east just like mine. It looks very normal, which strikes me as strange. I expected something more different. About a dozen paintings, most of them in Rin's signature abstract style, and a few art posters are taking up almost all the available wall space, but that's about the only real difference between her room and mine. The room is not exactly aesthetic, but it doesn't look like what I expect from a girl's room either. A faint smell of art, of paper, and of paint and paper is floating in the air. It's the same smell their art room has. Rin isn't too concerned about being tidy, it seems. Everything she owns seems to be arranged in various piles around her room. The room looks nice. It's an empty sentence one used to fill empty space in conversations, but my wits are failing me pretty hard right now. Yeah, would you like me to show you the places? She looks down at her half-open shirt quizzically, making me inadvertently follow her gaze to her chest. Oh, I guess I already did. I can't deny that, no matter how hard I try to act properly. It is very nice that you came to see me. Makes me feel very, what's the word? You know, the one about things and stuff? Oh, that helps. Anyway, you came. Rin's rambling makes me remember that I actually came here for a reason. Hey, about what we talked on Monday on the rooftop, remember? Rin doesn't seem to be exactly as attentive right now, not that she ever is. I plow ahead and get it off my chest anyway. I just want to tell you that I'm going to be better from now on, I guess. I hate being pathetic, so I decide I'm not going to be anymore. I guess that's all. Okay, isn't that good? The blurry words flowed from her lips slowly and uncontrollably. I'm happy for you, I think. That's what I think. You shouldn't look so sad all the time. I mean, looking sad is fine if you were not sad, but you look sad like you actually sad. What? I mean, looking sad is fine if you are not sad, but you look sad like you actually sad. Man, that is such a well-constructed sentence. That's no good. Are you going on some training camp somewhere where they make men out of boys, or mountaintop meditation? No, I don't think so. Oh, I guess that's fine too. Sentences come out of her mouth and probably her brain one at a time with a small pause between each, making her gibberish hard to understand. I just think it seemed like a good idea. Maybe it's not. Rin finishes with one more line, getting to say the last word over herself, an impressive display of what I can only describe as mental shadow boxing. While I'm embarrassing myself, might as well tell you that I'm sorry I said some stupid things to you last week. It's your own business to decide what you're going to do. She seemed to not register my words first, but then understanding lights in her eyes, and she waves her head around in a way that could be interpreted as anything. It's okay. Probably said stupid things too. It's just sometimes a bit hard to keep my thoughts the way I like them. They are not very straight, at least most of the time. Not that I want to have them straight, I just wish they were at least in some shape. Round is fine too, but I need more definition. My thoughts are very messy. Messy. She repeats the word melancholically, then flops lying down in her bed and nuzzles her head up against her pillow, shutting her eyes. Enough, tired. You should go. I'm going to sleep again. She opens one of her eyes to look at me. Was he who likes to look at sleeping girls, or someone else? Maybe there were many of those. I can't remember. You can stay if you want. No, I'll leave. I have to do homework anyway. Stand up from the chair, then take a step towards the door. Wait. Her request stops me in my tracks, not that I intended to scoot off right away. I look over my shoulder at the girl lying on her bed again with the strangest kind of smile on her features. She should smile more often. I can walk you to the door. It's the least a gentleman can do. Rin giggles like a little kid, making me beyond absolutely certain that she took far too much of her cold medication today. I've always wanted to say that. Slowly and with difficulty, Rin first rises to a sitting position again, then she stands up with even more difficulty and more slowly still. As if guided by some masculine automation, my eyes instantly lower to the curve of her thighs and the striped panties, at which point my manners force me to lift my gaze back to Rin's eye level. It's getting almost too hard to do that. Rin is standing, although barely. Looks like she has trouble keeping her usually decent balance, again probably a side effect of the medicine. She takes an unsteady step towards me, then another smaller one as she notices that it's not a good idea to try to take big steps. I feel my muscles tense as I prepare to catch Rin if she falls down. She manages to take 2 more steps before she falls against me to my surprise. Neither her downward momentum nor our slight height difference are able to stop Rin from pressing her heart-shaped lips squarely against mine. At the lips part, after a confusing moment of nothing but the taste of Rin, I look down at her trying to find some explanation for this bewildering event. The euphoric smile of a madman broadens on Rin's lips again, and I wonder if I'll remember this tomorrow. I'm absolutely stumped on how to respond. Rin takes a step backwards, separating her body from mine and making me only now realize that they were even more connected in the first place. The second step is actually a fall backwards, luckily straight onto her bed. The soft thud of Rin's thin body makes against the mattress and breaks the silence. I move quickly over to her, see if she's hurt herself, only to be met with the peaceful face of dreaming. Rin sleeps. She's lying diagonally across the bed, somehow managing to have simultaneously fallen asleep while standing up and fallen down in a way that she didn't injure herself. Fool's luck. I tuck Rin in, covering her with the sheets as well as I can. She feels very light, even though I am not that strong. I stand up to look at her, the oval-shaped face, the dark eyelashes shut against the feverish cheeks, the slender body covered with the pale sheets. Rin sleeps. A conflict, no. Conflicts, plural, trade inside me. I think about calling a nurse to keep an eye on her, but decide against it. After taking one more glance at her peaceful face, I decide that she's fine. I do pocket the remaining pills, though. I was just about to mention that. I exit the room and close the door soundlessly behind me. Go give them to Emmy. She'll make sure she has the right amount. I exhale deeply, only now realizing I had held my breath for the better part of a minute. Taking a moment to relax, I try to calm down my heart, racing like a jackrabbit. Well, that was an interesting scene, even if I messed up reading. I messed up reading like this whole part. I don't feel very good today. Like, whoops. My voice is weird, and I'm really unfocused, and my vision is blurry. I don't know what is wrong with me today. Anyway, I'm going to end her right there. That was a pretty good part. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye.